This morning I sat in the agora, as I often do, barefoot, listening, asking questions no one wants to answer. But today I did not speak. I watched. A man stood on a stone step, shouting about foreign threats. The crowd gathered quickly, not to think, but to cheer, to shout with him, to jeer at those who disagreed. Not one of them asked, "Is it true?" Only, "Is he confident? Does he sound strong?" And I thought, the crowd is loud, but it is not always wise. You see, there is a danger here, not a sword, not a plague, a quieter danger. The kind that slips into the soul unnoticed, the danger of following the crowd. Most people do not examine their opinions. They borrow them from their fathers, from their neighbors, from the loudest voice in the square. They believe what they're told, not because it is true, but because it is comfortable, because it is popular, because they are afraid to be the only one who thinks differently. Let me ask you, have you ever changed your mind, not because of truth, but because of pressure? Because everyone around you agreed? Because you didn't want to seem foolish? Because silence felt safer than honesty? I have. Yes, even I, Socrates, have caught myself nodding when I should have spoken. That is why I do not trust crowds, not because people are evil, but because together they forget to think. The crowd is like the sea. It rises, it crashes, it retreats. Today it praises a man. Tomorrow it stones him. Today it calls you brave. Tomorrow it calls you dangerous. It does not ask questions. It only reacts. It is not concerned with truth, only with comfort, approval, and noise. So if you live by the crowd, you will die by it too. Not your body, perhaps, but your integrity, your reason, your freedom to think for yourself. That is where we must begin, by seeing the crowd not as an enemy, but as a test of whether we follow what is popular or what is true. And if you find that uncomfortable, good. That discomfort may be the beginning of wisdom. Let us speak now, not of individuals, but of what happens when many gather. And think as one. We call it the crowd, and the crowd, my friend, cannot think. It can shout, it can cheer, it can condemn, but it does not reflect, it does not pause, it does not ask, why are we angry? What are we truly afraid of? Is what we are doing right, or simply loud? The crowd is a body without a mind. It moves by instinct, not insight. It responds to emotion, not evidence. One man cries out in fear, and 100 eyes widen. Another speaks from pride, and 100 hands clap. Another swells with rage, and 100 mouths echo his fury. No one stops to ask, where did this begin? What are we following? Have we thought this through? They follow the first voice, not because it is true, but because it is loud, and the louder it becomes, the more others join, until the truth is drowned beneath applause. Now you might say, but Socrates, surely the people can decide rightly when united. Can they? Let me offer a memory. At my own trial I stood before a crowd of my fellow citizens. Not strangers, not tyrants, but neighbors I had spoken with in the agora for decades, and they condemned me to death. Not because I had committed violence, not because I had stolen or betrayed, but because I asked too many questions, because I refused to flatter, because I dared to think differently. And the crowd, afraid, confused, proud, called this justice. History is full of such moments. The crowd that cheered when a wise man was mocked. The crowd that demanded the blood of an innocent. The crowd that laughed when a fool was crowned king. And still they called it good. Still they said, "We are the people." We must be right. But the crowd's voice is not the voice of reason. It is the voice of habit, of impulse, of fear wearing the mask of strength. The crowd can cheer the execution of a good man and call it justice. So if you ever find yourself nodding along, not because you've thought it through, but because everyone else is nodding, pause, step back, breathe, ask yourself, is this my judgment or my fear of standing alone? Do I agree, or am I just afraid to disagree? Because what the crowd agrees on today, it may abandon tomorrow. It is not anchored to truth. It is pulled by the winds of the moment. And those winds do not care for justice. Let us not despise the crowd. Let us not hate it. But let us never let it think for us, because the soul cannot be free if it is ruled by the noise of many voices and never listens to its own. Now you may ask, and rightly so, if the crowd is so easily misled, why do we follow it? Why do we, thinking, breathing, reasoning souls, surrender ourselves so quickly to its noise? Why do we echo its opinions, cheer its heroes, even join in its condemnation when something inside us hesitates? I will tell you, not because we are evil, not because we are stupid, but because we are afraid. A fear of being alone. You see, to stand alone in thought is no easy thing. To hold an idea that no one else shares. To say, I disagree, when 100 others nod. This is frightening. We are not only animals of reason, we are animals of belonging. We want to be part of the group, to be accepted, to be safe. And if the cost of that belonging is a little silence, a little self-denial, a little dishonesty, then many will pay it gladly. It is easier to echo the crowd than to stand in silence, alone with your own thoughts. But ease is not the same as virtue, and safety is not the same as truth. B. Desire for praise, then there is ego. We do not only fear being cast out, we crave being lifted up. The crowd does not merely exclude. It rewards, it applauds, it flatters. It raises some on shoulders and showers them with praise, and we are tempted to perform rather than reflect, to act good when it is seen rather than be good when it is silent. Many people do not live with virtue. They perform it because it is rewarded. Speak the right words, wear the right symbols, say what others want to hear. And the crowd will call you wise, even if your soul is hollow. But remember, a performance of goodness is not the same as a pursuit of truth. And no applause, however loud, can bring peace to a dishonest soul. C. The illusion of safety. And then, there is the great illusion. The lie we whisper to ourselves in secret. If I follow the crowd, I will be safe. But the crowd does not protect. It consumes. It lifts you up today and throws you down tomorrow. It laughs with you today and turns on you the moment you dissent. I have seen it. I have lived it. The same citizens who once sat at my feet, who praised my questions, who called me wise, were the same who voted for my death when it became uncomfortable to be near me. So I say this not with anger, but with clarity. The same hands that crown you today may stone you tomorrow. If your soul is chained to the crowd's approval, you will never walk freely. So what must we do? We must face the fear. We must resist the flattery. We must stop mistaking applause for purpose. We must build something stronger inside. A soul not swayed by pressure, but guided by truth. And that journey begins, as all philosophy does, not in the crowd, but in solitude. So then, how do we resist? How does a single soul stand strong while the crowd surges around him like a flood? How does one man think clearly when 100 voices shout in his ear? Let me tell you this. You will not do it by accident. You must choose it. You must practice it. You must build the strength not of muscle, but of conviction. A. Build inner strength first. Listen to your own reason before you follow any voice, even mine. I do not ask you to agree with me. I ask you to think, to pause, to question, to let your own mind speak before you repeat what others say. And for that, you must be willing to be alone. Not forever, not in bitterness, but long enough to hear the voice that too many people drown in noise. Your own. That voice is quiet. It does not beg. It waits, like a seed beneath the soil, and it can only be heard in silence. So I urge you, spend time away from the crowd, walk alone, sit in quiet, turn inward, not to escape, but to return to the part of you that still seeks truth. Only then will your choices be your own. Only then will your voice carry the weight of soul, not the echo of others. Ask better questions. Next, train your mind to ask better questions. When everyone agrees, ask why. When the crowd says, "This is obvious," ask, "Is it true?" Be skeptical of group certainty, not because groups are always wrong, but because they are rarely careful. And the careless crowd can become a cruel one. Ask not just what people believe, but why they believe it. Where did the idea come from? What would it take to change it? Who benefits if we accept it? Because the truth, my friend, does not tremble before questions. Only lies do. The truth does not tremble before popularity. And you must be willing to be unpopular if that's what the truth requires. C. Live by principle, not pressure. Lastly, live by principle, not pressure. Do not shift your values because others are louder. Do not abandon your path because it is lonely. Stand firm in the good, even if no one claps, even if they laugh, even if they shout, because true courage is not found in the battlefield, but in the quiet moment when you say, "I do not agree. That is not right. This I must." Question. Not to offend, not to destroy, but to seek, to think, to be free. And if it feels too hard, you do not need a crowd. You only need one or two kindred souls, fellow seekers, honest minds, not an audience, but a companion or two to walk the road with you. Truth does not require many, only a few willing to bear its weight. So ask yourself, whose voice guides me, my own or the crowd's? Have I chosen my path or been herded onto it? Do I live from principle or from pressure? Your answers may sting, but they may also liberate you, because to resist the crowd is to begin living your own life, not theirs. And so, we have come to the end. Not the end of questions, for those never end, but the end of this path we have walked together, examining the nature of the crowd. Let us pause now and remember what we have seen. We have seen that the crowd does not think, it reacts, that it does not seek truth, it seeks comfort, that it will praise a man one day and condemn him the next. It is not evil, but it is unreliable. It moves with the wind, feels deeply but reflects little, and often mistakes noise for wisdom. What the crowd loves today, it may hate tomorrow. I have lived this truth. One season, I was the man the youth of Athens crowded around, asking questions, laughing, following me through the streets. And not long after, the same city put me on trial, called me a corrupter, and sentenced me to death. I am not bitter. I do not regret speaking truth. But I have learned this. If your peace depends on the crowd, you will never have peace at all. So let me ask you plainly, friend, as one soul to another, Are you living your truth? Or the crowd's comfort? Do your thoughts belong to you? Or were they handed to you like garments to wear? Do you agree, because you have examined, or because you fear standing alone? These questions are not accusations, they are invitations, because in every person lives the power to stop following blindly and to start seeking honestly, to quiet the noise and let reason rise. You do not need to be a philosopher. You do not need to be eloquent. You do not need to be certain. You only need to be willing. Willing to question, to listen inwardly, to walk without applause if that is what truth requires. The crowd will change. It always does. It will praise and condemn, lift and destroy. But truth does not change. Truth remains steady. It does not demand a stage. It waits quietly in the place you least expect, in your soul, in silence, in the hard but honest road. So I leave you with this. Let us think with reason, not noise. Let us speak with honesty, not echo. Let us walk, alone if needed. But let us walk with truth. For in the end, it is not the approval of the many that gives life meaning. It is the alignment of your soul with what is good, what is just, what is real. That is the path, and I will walk it with you. Even if no one else does,